Hi, everybody. I'm Bill Sanders, and this is Watch Art Sci, the art and science of watch collection. Today, what I want to talk about is in watch collection, the we have to have information, we have to have knowledge in order to make good decisions, especially when we buy a watch. And one of the big things that's coming along right now is AI, or artificial intelligence. And essentially, what artificial intelligence seems to be, from what I've seen, is a very good search engine that only works part of the time. And so let me explain. The one that I tested was called ChatGPT. And so I made some queries on movements. Now, this one sort of led me down the garden path, I'll put it that way. I got a new watch, a Fabergé Alexi, and it had, I'm trying to think, they had some funny name, F something or other for their calibers, but I knew that they didn't make the calibers, but they used very good calibers, at least from what I knew about them. They had won awards using calibers from Agenor, and which has excellent movements. So I knew that Agenor, at least I was pretty sure that Agenor hadn't made the movements for this. So I thought, well, I'll just sort of see what happens. So I tried Chat GPT. I basically said, what movement is in the Fabergé Alexi? I got three different answers. The first time, and this is the one that threw me, it said it has an ETA, 2892-A2, something like that. And it says, oh, that's really a 4 hertz, blah, 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 and so on and so forth. Automatic movement. And I thought, oh no. And so I opened up the back of my watch and did a lot of other digging and found out that no, it's not that. It wasn't that at all. The dimensions were wrong, and a lot of other things were wrong. And I finally found out that it was a Frederick Piguet 1150 based movement. And that was what I had sort of been led to believe by reading other reviews. So it says, so I was just sort of, it was an inconvenience. So I thought, well, I'll ask again. The second time I asked, this is, what movement is in a Fabergé Alexi? They said it was an Agenor movement. So, okay, I'll try it one more time, see what happens. This time I put in, I said, what is the movement in a Fabergé Alexi? It says it's the caliber 7001. Now, originally, the caliber 7001 was by Pazoo. It was bought by Swatch, and it's now called the ETA caliber 7001. Now, there's so many problems with this. With my watch, I put it in a time grapher. It ran at 2400. I also found that some of the Frederick Piguet 1150s also ran at that speed. Most of them were at 3 hertz, but there were a few that ran at 4 hertz. Okay, that was what I was interested in. It was automatic. Mine was automatic. The 7001 I happen to know something about, and I happen to sort of like it too. It runs at 3 hertz, which I like. It's hand wound. I mean, there was no way in the world that a caliber 7001 would be in it. The caliber and mine, like I said, it had this Fabergé caliber number, the F1857. But then, like I said, the Fabergé was the Frederick Piguet FP150. The base, that was at the base of it, 28,800 semi-oscillations per hour, automatic. The Chat GPT said it had 17 joules. It has 28 joules. They said it had a 42-hour reserve, and it's got a 72-hour reserve. So the point about this is saying I'm not saying it's bad, because there are some things I'll show you in a second that are good, but the problem is, how can you to separate it, useful information from junk? In fact, like I said, I was misled for a couple of days, thinking, oh my God, I got they stuffed an ETA in my watch. Okay, so I thought, well, okay, I'm going to try it again. This time I tried it with a Daniel Roth Premier Retrograde. All right, now the whole name, Daniel Roth Premier Retrograde. They decided it was the one it had a caliber DR-114. Bulgari was the one who they put it together for him and so forth. Again, it was totally wrong. The caliber is DR-700-10. You can see that about it in the write up of the watch. But here was the other thing, is that it pointed out that it has a highly decorated rotor which can be viewed through the sapphire crystal back. It's got a solid back to it. So the actual caliber is not a caliber DR-114, but it's a DR-700-10 automatic, 21 joules, based on a Lamania 2NL Eboche. So again, it's like, well, you say, well, those are those are not your regular everyday watches. It's not like a Rolex Daytona, for example. No, they're not. But they're easy to get information on, and I'm sure that and there's a lot of it. So that's not the kinds of thing you're most likely to say. It's not easy to find information about. But I tell you, I don't think I'd ever trust it. All right. So I thought, well, I'll try something else. And I said, well, ChatGPT, these are queries on silicone hairsprings. So I said, what can you tell me about silicone hairsprings? Now, this answer was pretty good. It came out with the advantages and the disadvantages. It missed one major disadvantage, but it did a pretty good job. It said the advantages are anti-magnetic, temperature stability, durability, precision. Okay, those are all great ones. You get no argument from me on that. The disadvantages are the fragility, because while silicon is hard, it's also brittle. The cost. Now, this is one thing I'm not sure that's right. It says the costs, they're more expensive to produce than metal hairsprings. I'm not sure that that's always true. It may be true for some that have been in production, and the development costs, I'm sure, of silicone to make a hairspring from silicone may have been pretty, but I don't think once they have it finished, they come out in sheets of hairsprings made of silicone. So I don't know. That one I'd have to go further on. And then it has something about lack of tradition, which is important to me and some other collectors. But the thing that they left out, you can't adjust it. You can't adjust it from a regulator. So it's the kind of thing that, those can be useful, but it leaves out something. Now, the final thing that I gave it was this is something that Vincent Calabrese had. Vincent Calabrese doesn't like hairsprings. He said they're no good. So he invented this thing that he calls the Calasis system. And what it has is basically, instead of having a hairspring that turns and then flips back and then flips the other way and then flips back, the way this system works, and I put a picture there for you, you've got like a fork. And the fork is really these springs, and you have an arm that goes one way, and then you can see the gear teeth on it, and it spins the balance wheel one way, and then the spring that has been popped over there in the same way that a hairspring would be is then forced back because the spring springs back. And they're talking about magnets. They say let's see, what do they say about that? The magnets, says, with a new regulating system that utilizes a pair of opposing magnets and control circuit. It doesn't do that at all. And uh, so it's like, where did they get that? And so again, using artificial intelligence, it's really by having someone, oh, you go look it up for me. Um, yeah, but you have sort of like, it's easy to look up things that are not hard to find. But anyway, I say this as a cautionary tale. I think reading articles and books and everything else on that is sort of the way to go. And true, they can be mistaken as well. And sometimes artificial intelligence used for gaining certain kinds of information can be a quick way of looking stuff up. Anyway, well, let me know what you think. And this is an opportunity to subscribe if you like. Until next time, this is Bill Sanders for Watch Art Side, the art and science of watch collection.